Every step he takes, every move he makes.
And she thought that this would be a one-time thing, not knowing that she was opening up Pandora's box.
The judge says he'll be watching Diddy. The end of week 4, Diddy reprimanded for his behavior in court.
This is something you can't do.
And the new woman who took the stand claiming that Diddy pressured her into having sex with other men while he watched. And if she didn't, he wouldn't pay her $10,000 rent.
What they are arguing and what they're trying to present is that the people who were around him were there for a reason.
All right, roommates, we are inching closer and closer to the end here as we've heard from one of the last key witnesses of the Diddy trial. We only know her right now as Jane, and she said that sometimes these hotel nights with Diddy would last over 24 hours. We have TSR reporters Brianne, Deville, and Saràn Tarawaley. They're on ground. They've been in court the whole time. All right, ladies, let's jump right in. The newest bit of information is testimony from this Jane Doe. Can you tell us what we know about her and her testimony thus far is very scathing.
Yeah, Jane Doe came in hard yesterday with her testimony, but she spoke about the love that she had for Diddy in their relationship. She spoke about the freak offs and how they started and said that Diddy actually did not refer to these sexual encounters that she was having with other men as freak offs, but as hotel nights. So we learned a lot about her and how he lavished her with vacations. They went on a vacation for 15 days around her birthday. He would give her $10,000. And then eventually he told her about these fantasies that he was having and eventually introduced another man into their situation. And she thought that this would be a one-time thing, not knowing that she was opening up Pandora's box.
Yeah, and to that point, Sarah, she was given $10,000 per month for her rent, and basically she says she testified that she was pressured into having these hotel nights, as she calls them, with Diddy and with other men. Can you describe? It's almost similar to what Cassie went through, right?
Yeah, she even described them using a dozen bottles of baby oil in the room. The testimony was very similar to what Cassie spoke about the linens and the sheets being messed up and how the assistants would set up the rooms and how sometimes these sexual encounters would last beyond 24 hours.
Brianne, can you talk about the defense and what they may argue or in cross-examination? Obviously, they've been arguing the whole time that these women willingly did this, had these sexual encounters with Diddy.
For sure. I think before we get to the defense, I think there is one thing that is super important, and it's that Cassie, when she was on the stand, she also said, that she believed that she was the only woman that this was happening with. I know that even the roommates, as we're looking at their commentary, they keep asking, why is this entire trial about Cassie? And I think the important thing to notice here is that it's not specifically about Cassie, but how Diddy used his power with Cassie, but also with other people, because now we have this Jane Doe who's also expressing that she was forced to do these things. And as for the defense, really what they've been arguing this whole time is that, Diddy did do these things. They're not arguing against his actions. What they are arguing and what they're trying to present is that the people who were around him were there for a reason. They were there because they did love him and admire him, and he did do great things for them, for his businesses, for the culture, and he provided great lifestyles for them. And so I'm sure, especially if Brian Steele is on the stand, there's going to be a lot of things going into exhibits. We saw that this past week with Mia, where Brian Steele went through every single social media post she made about Diddy in these exhibits, and just poking holes in this idea that he was this monstrous human, but also just creating this image that there was complexities in all of his relationships, and that maybe you hated him one day, but there was a lot of days where you loved him as well.
To that point, we also heard from an Eddie Garcia. He's the hotel employee who had that encounter and was paid a lot of money to pretty much stash away this video, this infamous video that we all know from that InterContinental Hotel. Can you talk about what you saw in courtroom?
Eddie was kind of a curveball in the prosecution's, witnesses so far, because he got on the stand initially on Monday and he pled he invoked his Fifth Amendment right, and he revealed that he also signed an immunity deal, but he did not testify that same day. So you could see a lot of confusion and just, wonder about why this man was, signing an immunity deal, what he did, what his role was in this entire, trial and any potential crimes. And so he got on the stand the next day. And as he starts to unfold and the prosecution asks him more questions, he starts to reveal that Diddy contacted him, Christina Quorum contacted him, and ultimately he was paid $100,000 in exchange for the 2016 video of Diddy brutally beating Cassie at the InterContinental Hotel. And that was a bombshell. That was a big thing because a lot of people have been asking, where's the RICO? Where are the crimes? Where are the things that he's been doing? And there's one right there, a big one at that. Eddie Garcia also, explained that and testified that he shared this money with his supervisor at the time and also another hotel employee who was on duty at the time. I mean, there's been crimes that they've talked about and prior to, and buying drugs and things like that. But I feel like a lot of rich men do that. And so people have normalized it at this point. But that was definitely something that shifted the conversation for people inside and outside of the courthouse.
Judge Submaranian, he was very vocal about Diddy's behavior in court. What's been happening and, what transpired as far as him being talked to?
Yeah, so the judge noticed and was taking note of Diddy's behavior in court. He said that Diddy was nodding vigorously at the jurors during Brianna's testimony. That's a big no-no because you don't want it to be seen as if he's trying to intimidate the witnesses. And the jurors are ultimately the people who the case either falls or rises in. Like the case is in their hands ultimately. So him nodding at them, him engaging with them, he said it's a huge no-no, and he also threatened to exclude Diddy from the case if he continues to do so. But they did say that this was not the first time that Diddy had been warned about his engagement with people in the courtroom and the jurors.
I sat down with attorney Justin Miller about why Diddy's facial expressions had Judge Submaranian on 10 and the implications that this could have in court.
I mean, it happens in every case. I've tried cases where I've had clients who were sitting there and they would hold a Bible and they'd be rocking back and forth, or they'd be nodding every time somebody says something, and the judge would be, hey, listen, you have to stop your client from doing that. We're going to have to remove them from the courtroom because they become a distraction. Some people in the jury may have some type of empathy for them. They may be building a rapport with the person in the jury. And this is not what a trial is about. A trial is about the facts and getting the facts out so the jury can see the facts, weigh the facts, and make a decision. So a person like Sean Combs, it's even more crucial to not have them do this because the people in the jury could be influenced by him just as an influencer, as a entertainer, as an icon. Him agreeing with things, showing that he's not agreeing with things might influence their decision on whether or not they think something is true or not.
Now, the defense continues to question the motives as to why these women are testifying, saying that the sexual activity they endured was consensual. Now, week 5 is ahead and, of course, is expected to continue with that testimony and more cross-examination, and we will be there for it all. So stay with us. For now, this is a TSR Investigate special report, Trial Watch. I'm Justin Carter. Hello, roommates, and thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Do you want more TSR Investigates? Be sure to subscribe and check us out at theshaderoom.com.